What's that, Nintendo? Game Boy is still coming? What's going on, everybody? It's Zach from SwitchForce, and Nintendo Switch Online switched it up. Nintendo switched it up with a morning direct, and now they switched it up by skipping September. Because previously, September was where they announced the big to-do for Nintendo Switch to boost subscribers, improve the service, and get us excited about Nintendo Plus Online. Chronically a problem for the big N, a feature set that they don't fully invest in because they don't seem to fully understand it. Cue the PowerPoint presentation on why themes would be perfect for Switch because they already had them on the 3DS and now they opt not to have them on a system with an even bigger, better screen. What? Okay, we don't need to yell, we don't need to get upset, but we do need to say that this September Direct only had a smidge of Switch Online news. And we really thought Game Boy or Game Boy Advance or both would be here based on legit info. Not based on just speculative rumors and leaks, but based on emulators being uncovered earlier this year. And reputable data miners like Oatmeal Dome saying, yeah, these look to be developed by Nerd, who Nintendo uses for their classic games and online. And hey, they're working on a litany of Game Boy and Game Boy Advance games, and hey, here's actual photos and videos of them working and running on Switch and the emulator itself, and it's in production. Now, I will note that back at that time, Oatmeal Dome had this to say, and I think this is important to listen to. Okay, Oatmeal Dome said, I do have to say though, if this is fake, someone went to a lot of effort to trick us all. Now, this comes way back on April 18th, okay? April 18th, that is basically 6 months in the past, and no one has fessed up to this being a trick since. I feel like if it was going to be a leak, then it would have come out, and it hasn't, all right? This was, again, shown as being developed based on files and data mined by Nerd in collaboration with Panasonic Vietnam, and apparently they have Nintendo employee added files in there as well. So this was very concrete. This is very substantial. Not proven, not confirmed, but as close as you can get. Way better than a rumor we read on a message board. And it didn't appear. 6 months ago, and it still hasn't shown up. And the only big addition we have to the expansion pack since then is the added Mario Kart DLC, which was confirmed previously. And they brought in the Splatoon 2's Octo expansion in April as well. Similarly, about 6 months ago. So it made perfect sense that there'd be a big update this September, and they opted not to, instead going for an N64 explosion that lasts us until May of next year. Now, they list 3 games for this year, Pilot Wing 64, Mario Party 1, and Mario Party 2. But we know Goldeneye is going to be the other one. There's still 4 months to go, 3 games there, and they said Goldeneye is coming soon. They'll make a big to-do about that, announce the release date, get people excited, online multiplayer. It's nifty. I do have concerns, though, about how long they think they can go. And I would have expected Nintendo to go bananas with new handheld systems, and there was even rumor about GameCube being brought in. But this lines up interestingly, timing-wise, to a May date. And May is when The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom is coming out. And we've had hardware speculation for a long time. We've had hardware speculation about a Switch Pro for a long time. And many different sources seem to indicate that 2023 is a very likely slot for Nintendo to drop this. Remember, they love to use Zelda games as bridges, right? They bridged Twilight Princess from GameCube to Wii. They bridged Breath of the Wild from Wii U to Switch. Could they use Tears of the Kingdom to bridge Switch to Switch Pro? They absolutely could. Now, I don't believe it will be a complete new system. I believe it will be iterative. And I wonder if Nintendo is lining up to launch Game Boy, Game Boy Advance, and maybe even GameCube as a boost to Switch Pro. I don't believe the Switch Pro is needed to run those games, as evidenced by so many other games being remade, brought back, and new games obviously working just fine on Switch for the most part. But that would be a great way to incentivize an upgrade when we've already had multiple upgrade cycles, right? We've had the Nintendo Switch go to V2, and we've had Nintendo Switch go to the OLED, and we've had the Splatoon OLED, and we're about to have the Pokemon OLED. This could be another nice feature, and you wonder why they gave us these 9 games to last for 9 more months. Now, the alternative theory is that Nintendo just feels like they can coast. Maybe Furukawa is content with the current level of Nintendo Switch Online subscribers. He feels like they have more Mario Kart to provide you this holiday season, and he thinks having Animal Crossing DLC alongside that Splatoon Octo expansion is enough. And if they just keep the N64 hits coming, everything will be a-okay. But I strongly urge that to not be the case, and I strongly hope that's not the case. As we see Microsoft Game Pass continue to rack up big game after big game, I think having Mario Party 1, 2, and 3, and Pokemon Stadium 1 and 2, almost all in a row, is a lot. That is a slow burn. Remember, they did 3 games at a time for NES and SNES. They've opted to go 1 for N64 because I guess they're bigger games. They provide some online. It feels like they could do this faster, but it seems like the slow burn is the way, and the optimist in me says the slow burn is to introduce something new in May. But the pessimists, or the realist in me, says no, Nintendo is just going to drag this out as slowly as humanly possible. It feels like Nintendo wants Nintendo Switch Online to bridge their console hardware as well, and be a consistent online service, and if that is the case, and you judge Nintendo based on their past actions, you say, okay, well, they are going to slowly roll this out bit by bit, so they always have something to dawdle in front of you, to bait you forward with, to keep your subscription ongoing. Now, frankly, I was surprised they didn't at least add a new DLC. I thought Super Mario Party was ripe for DLC on the expansion pack. It would have fit perfectly. It's been almost a year since that game came out. It has a limited amount of boards, and it seems like that would be a very easy, yet fan-appealing way to add content to both an awesome Mario Party that sold really well, and a Switch Online service that could use a boost. It's very odd to me that they chose to let this September roll through the Direct without making something big. And I want you to tell me if you think it's because Game Boy is coming, or if it's because they're just going really slow. And as we build together this week's videos, you're going to see more and more that it kind of looks like Nintendo is gearing up for something major next spring. Obviously, they have Tears of the Kingdom, but if you look at their release schedule, if you look at the games that have not been mentioned, the things we were sure were there, like Metroid Prime Remastered, the Game Boy Advance inclusion in Switch Online, the Zelda ports, are they starting to get a little weird? Are they starting to really kind of ready themselves for a crossover, a turnover, a transition? And like I said, not a full-blown Switch 2, but a Switch Pro that provides perks, maybe some exclusive features, and perhaps exclusive NSO options. Would you upgrade to a Switch Pro not only for better graphics, but if they told you that the Switch has NES, SNES, Genesis, Neo, Master System, something else, and N64, and then, oh, you get Game Boy, Game Boy Advance, and GameCube over on the Switch Pro? I think that would be a pretty compelling argument, and I think it would be very, very naughty. I don't know why Nintendo doesn't want to adopt the Game Pass strategy of loading up a bunch of games and trusting that your fans will want to subscribe to the service. Instead, it feels like a movie release schedule where you're excited to play the next game and the next game and the next game, like something AMC Movie Pass. It's like appointment-based, right? Like you come back to check this out once per month and you're buying into a long future of releases, or at least 9 releases. I don't know why Nintendo doesn't think it would do just fine to pour games on and trust players to say subscribe, but they don't. And it clearly shows that this is their model going forward. So the emulators that were unveiled, leaked, discovered, data mined, they sure seem legitimate. And since no one's claimed them in the last 6 months, I believe they are real. I think that is coming, but you got to ask yourself, is it coming after these N64 games? Is it coming to the next sort of Switch iteration, or is it just not going to come at all? I feel in a different position with Nintendo than I felt the past couple of years, where now I am convinced that they don't quite get it. We've convinced ourselves that they will do right, that they'll get back on track, that they'll adopt patterns, and don't get me wrong, they've released phenomenal games. From a business standpoint and from a just playing the game standpoint, they're awesome. But the directs are clearly shifting. Switch Online is clearly not doing what the consumers would have expected. They operate, as I always say, by the beat of their own drum. And if that means Mario Party 1, 2, and 3 months in a row, then so be it. That is the Nintendo way. And whereas we would love to see an outpouring of classic games catalog love, they went backwards from Virtual Console to drip feed. Where is Game Boy? When will it come? I don't expect it this year at all. September is the time. September is the month. And I suppose they could drop it on Twitter, but they did show off the expansion pack in a Direct, SNES edition in a Direct, and they've used Directs for big Nintendo Switch Online announcements for a while now. If it was going to happen, it would have probably been there And in a way it was, because they showed the next 9 months of what this service has planned. Are you satiated by 9 N64 games? Is the allure of GoldenEye Online enough to keep you subscribed? Or is Nintendo being too greedy and too slow and assuming that they can string you along when maybe really they cannot? Let me know what you think in the comments down below, everybody. Appreciate you all a lot. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay happy, stay positive out there. Until next time, definitely sooner than 9 months. SwitchForce out.